Greetings, 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 all our friends across the world, wherever you are. We welcome you again to another episode of The Raw Truth. And of course, every Monday evening, right here on PSI TV, PSI Net Vision, we bring you another interesting presentation of The Raw Truth, a program which looks at the uh, happenings across the world in a way that we can position ourselves mentally to comprehend the things that are happening across the world in a way that we can uh, adjust ourselves to facilitate the changing times within which we live. Uh, it seems to me that many people tend to want to hide the truth. I'm not sure why we feel hiding truth is the best thing. But in a world where information floats like air, I am not sure why anyone would even want to try to hide information. Because it's floating everywhere. It's not like one time where you don't have a computer, you don't have internet, you don't have cell phones, you don't. It is either we are really willfully stupid or our brains aren't working properly to even try or even to think that one could hide information. Um, the world is changing fast, and when the day is done, technology, we created it. So why are we now beating up ourselves about information floating over the place when we created the systems to make the information accessible to everyone, even in Africa, in the jungle where they are? Because we think only monkeys live in the jungle. Well, welcome to the fact that cell phones are everywhere, and I'm not sure when we have gotten so foolish. But I have to make the point, because I think you look at what is happening on social media. People are being censored left, right, and center because they talk about the things that are known by the average man on the street. Everybody knows. What are we hiding? We don't want them to know, yet they know. The information is everywhere. They know everything. Let me say, they know everything. Maybe not everyone, but most of us, because information flies. And people are now talking about what is happening because it is brand new. It is the technological age. You look at what is happening with AI. You look at what is happening with nanotechnology. You look at what is happening with men and women in relation to the transfection theory. I could go on and on. It is nothing to take lightly. And it is nothing to think that people do not understand, because even if they do not understand the magnitude of these uh, 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 theories, they are aware of the function of these theories. So I think the time has come for us to become cognizant of the fact that we're not living in the dark ages anymore. And I'm saying this specifically to those of us to whom it may concern, because I think we're making a fool of ourselves. When you look at the kind of blockages that many people, of course, for those people who have no regard for people's rights, for people's person, uh, 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 for yes, some people are going to end up going to courthouse for libel and slander, because we do not regard the fact that we cannot come on social media and just say anything we wish to say about anybody we wish to say it about in a demeaning way. Yes, if social media is going to block people, then block them for demeaning arguments, which are going to put people in a very bad light. That is reasonable. Yes. And if that's the case, then it is for the people who have been spoken about to take up these matters in courthouse. Take these people to court and have a ball game in the courthouse, and whoever wins, wins. That's exactly the right of the person who are being libeled or slandered. But then when social media is going to take a position to block the truth, it becomes a very interesting matter, and it needs to be examined. I'm saying this categorically because I think it has gotten out of hand really badly, and our people are asking serious questions and now shifting to alternative sources. And what are we going to do? Many, I would hope that some of these platforms may not have to lock shop over time, because people have been really getting the blunt of it, and they have been moving away from most of these platforms. I'm only hoping that we are able to comprehend this in a way that we can not only address these matters in a way that is reasonable and fair, but in a way that is sensible. Yes, I'm not sure where common sense is. We give thanks to the great creator for his or for goodness received. I'm not sure why we feel the great creator is a his. It's kind of, we call it male chauvinism. The great creator is feminine energy. I'm not sure why we tend to liken the great creator to a he. But the whole point is we give thanks for the good evening from Florida. Yes. Yes, it's live on Facebook. It's live on YouTube. It's live on LinkedIn. It's live everywhere. We make sure that when the day is done, everyone can watch this program wherever you are, whichever platform you choose to utilize. We give thanks for all the goodness. We give thanks for water. We give thanks for food. We give thanks for medicinal herbs and trees. We give thanks for the sunshine, the moon, the winds, the lesser winds, the greater winds. We give thanks for all things, for all the benefits given to man from the great creator. For these things and to the great creator we give thanks. This is routine here on PSI TV. We make sure that we always give thanks for all things. To our viewers who are joining us from all across the world, we thank you so much for popping in. It's a Monday evening. Please share this with your friends. Good night from Miss Jones. Yes. Claristine, how you doing? Yes. Valiston, how you doing? Goodness gracious. Carlton Pickering, how you doing? Carlton said we fear the truth. Yes, truth is a hell of a thing. I'm not sure when we have gotten so afraid of truth nowadays. Goodness gracious. People hide from the truth. But the thing is, the truth will always make you free. You know what the good thing about it is? And we have our guest in the wing waiting. The good thing about this is this. When you tell a man the truth, you can never be blamed for telling him the truth, you know. You know when trouble starts? When you did not say the truth and people find out that you're lying, then they start to label you as a liar. Which is best? Telling a man the truth, giving him the chance to make up his own mind because you did tell him the truth, or proving yourself to be a liar, and thus you're abhorred by people and treated like crap. Which is best? I'm sure we all wise people. I'm gonna take you right into news buzz, and I have just two very interesting points I would like to highlight this evening, and then after that we run straight into having a chat with our guest out of St. Vincent, and a very interesting man. I was looking at his resume. No man to play with, and no short order. And he took the time to be here. A very humble man, an amazing. I love humble people. It doesn't matter what titles you have behind your name and what your accomplishments are. It's good to be humble. It's good to be reachable. Yes, it's good when one is able, when one can be touched by others. Yes, some of us have gotten so proud we have become a bunch of jackasses because we think we're all that. Yes? Welcome to the raw truth. I'm gonna say it as it is. And I'm sure many of us might be a little frightened by that, as my good friend said. But I'm not gonna sweet it up for anybody. when the day is done, we need to speak it for what it is. And I think when the day is over, what better place or thing to be a part of or to do? Yes? The truth is always an amazing thing. Always. We're going to take a look at News Buzz, and when we come back, we're going to open the door to our amazing guest. We come back in a minute. Now on News Buzz this evening, I got some very interesting news. Good evening, Miss King, Luzette King. Thank you so much for joining us. Luzette is in the house. Wow, all my beautiful friends out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, beautiful. Love you all. I love my people in St. Vincent with a passion. I don't know if that is how you express it. Luzette probably could help me understand that. Love my Vincentian friends. I got some news just the other day, and I think I need to share this with you as well. Very interesting news. Let me put this on screen for you, because when I saw it, I said, wow. All I could have said was wow. I think it is something that I really need to share with you. I'm not sure what some of you might think about Mr. Fauci, or Fauci, yeah? Whatever you want to call him. Many people probably have a problem with the poor gentleman, but I got some news just recently that he plans to step down in December after half a century in government. So the Honorable Fauci, if you want to call him that, I give honor to the man for whatever he has done. I guess some of us are at odds with this gentleman at this point. That's on you. I have to give credit where it's due. But he will be stepping down in December after half a century in government. So I was told. It was over Twitter. I'm not sure if how credible this is. I'm not sure if he might change his mind and decide to stay on. I'm seeing Ralph perhaps trying to make up his mind to step away from politics. I was thinking that Ralph perhaps would have resigned and left and leave politics in grace. But Ralph is saying, "No, boy, I'm going for another shot of this." I would hope to God he doesn't embarrass himself, because if he should lose the next election, it would be absolutely a disgraceful thing for this man, who, after all the accomplishments, so-called, that he has had, to walk away in defeat. And I hope somebody talks some sense into my good friend Ralph, that he would just simply resign and walk away and leave St. Vincent alone. Do it in grace, rather than trying to run for another election and the people throw him out on his head. I would hope he would resign and leave in grace. Now, there's another matter, and I hope this is not offensive to my social media managers, because again, you talk about the truth. It is what it is, and there's a matter that I would love to share with you. We're now in the AI age, and artificial intelligence is not going anywhere. It's coming. As a matter of fact, the entire world will be is shifting, and continues to shift in relation to what is happening with artificial intelligence. Now, there's a goodly gentleman who I want to introduce to you. He is a very prominent figure at the World Economic Forum. And he had this to say.
Might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. Now, in the past, Many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds. Evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin. My brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me or to some corporation or to the government or perhaps to the human collective?
This is the era of AI. Is it now that the world of men and women and their offspring, is it that as the gentleman said, they are now looking at, they now have the technology to hack into the human genome, into man, into genealogy, to hack into. I'm not sure how this is coming across to you, but when the day is over, it needs to be fully understood or fully comprehended that we are not living in the dark ages anymore. We are now at the place where we are looking at a brand new species of men and women walking around in the world as we speak. Gentleman said, they now have the technology, which means it has been here for some time, and which means it is being used as we speak. That is what he's telling us. The technology is now here, which means we have a new species of men and women walking around on the streets among us as we speak, and we don't even know it. And I'm saying this to you, unless you do your research, unless you dig, unless you incline your ears and your mind to getting practical, factual information, these things will pass you right by. The way these things are said, I'm sure most of us may never even comprehend the depth of it. But it is frightening, if you ask me, the degree to which artificial intelligence is currently taking over the world. It is not just about cars and buggies and computers and robots. It is about every life you see around you as we speak. And there's many more I could say about that, stopping short of becoming offensive to the managers of social media platforms. Stopping short. Because unless this is understood, and unless we know exactly what we're about, we're going to be having serious problems. What I might have to do is to update you, my listeners, in relation to where you need to find us, so we can at least we'll be able to share some of this information to you, with you. It becomes important because to live in the dark is to be foolish. And ignorance is a dangerous thing. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, the word says. I keep saying this. We cannot afford to be living in the dark. We have to inform ourselves. I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be introducing our guest. And wow, I'm looking forward to having an amazing discussion with this amazing gentleman. We'll come back in a minute. Let me welcome you back to the Raw Truth. And of course, we have a very interesting gentleman here. Let me say good evening to Tuss Robinson. And of course, all our friends who are joining us. Corinne Ballantyne, is it? Yes? Yes, Ballantyne. Yes, all our friends, please share this with your friends. Comment, share. Let us know where you call it, where you're connecting with us from, so we can at least send a shout out to you. Let us know where you're from, and we welcome you all. Share this with all your friends. Share, because it's going to be an absolutely very interesting discussion with my beloved brother. A family man. They call him Brother Fitz. Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble. A man with a huge, his resume is absolutely, seriously impressive. And when the day is done, he's a man of no short order. And I think St. Vincent is honored to have such an honorable gentleman to serve. And I think the political party to which he is affiliated, or with which he's affiliated, is absolutely honored to have him as well. I think it is not a joke that we have highly qualified people who have given themselves to their nation, to their people, to serve them. Absolutely amazing. And we need more men like Brother Fitz, affectionately known, to serve nation. I must also say a very special good evening to my good friend. I'm gonna take the liberty to mention him, because he's a very humble gentleman as well. King, a relative of Miss Sister Luzette King. But he has also been working assiduously behind the scenes. He's been not necessarily behind the scene. He has been perhaps very much in the limelight himself, and has been doing quite a lot to to help to bring to light a lot of the things that are happening in St. Vincent. I think I need to make the time now to shout out my beloved brother Kenson King. I'm going to, in the same breath, because I'm sure that Kenson has been working very closely also with brother Fitz, as he's affectionately known in St. Vincent. And they all share the same platform, more or less. They all share, basically they all see eye to eye. They understand very well what is happening in St. Vincent. And we need more people like Kenson King and brother Fitz to serve that nation. And I'm gonna take the time now, and I hope I'm not diverting too far, but as it comes to me, I perhaps need to say this. I hope the people of St. Vincent are thinking very carefully about electing, I call him the Honorable Kenson King, as one of your representatives in that country. Don't be fooled to think otherwise, because if a man is not of the mindset of this young man, you don't have government leaders, you don't have a servant. You don't. If a man is not thinking like brother Fitzgerald Bramble, you don't have a representative. These are the kind of people you need to create change in your country. Now, the way I'm seeing government changing, and forgive me for just throwing this in, but it has to be a time and place where we take a very serious look at the people who we say we vote into office. These are not the days for the weak of heart. We can't take no weak heart people around us right now. If them fuzzy and safi and have no backbone and can stand up like a lion, walk away from them, because they will not represent you well. I'm sorry, I have to say it. If aggression means the pen works magic when it is working, then that's the man you want. If aggression means that a man can stand and declare a word and it is respected, that's the man you need. You don't need no fuzzy, soffy, pokey people who get kicked around the place like they're stupid. And this is what I'm seeing in most governments, in most places, where we have a lot of crazy people calling themselves government officials and they're not worth squat. The time has come when we need to look at this very seriously. And if our people ought to be represented as they should, we have to, the people everywhere, wherever you are, need to step back 5 steps, sit down for a minute, and take a decent look at the people who you call government officials. Now, let me, you see how things will get crazy here. Brother Fritzy, as he's affectionately called, he worked the city of Estevan. He's a Canada Economic Development Coordinator, 2017 till present. University of Regina. Miss one big word I try to call it, you know. Saskatchewan. I'm gonna ask him to call it for me because it sounds more French. I'm gonna mash up my tongue to call it. Oh my gosh, that's all, my friend. I'm cracking up. First Nations University of Canada, Regina, Canada Economic Lecturer. He's been everywhere. City of Regina. He's been Organization of American States, OAS, Country Director in Suriname, Embassy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Washington, D.C., USA Minister, Counselor, Deputy Ambassador, and Deputy Permanent Representative of the OAS. Yes. Economist, Senior Projects Officer, Ministry of Finance and Planning, Government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The man is everywhere. St. Vincent Grammar School, is an A-level college business and economist teacher. Let me stop, because this list is long, and let me tell you something. Until we get to the place where we learn to respect our people, not because the man has a long resume, but respect him as a man. Respect him as a man with a heart. And I will dare say this here. I don't care what kind of letter some we have behind our name. And if the people cannot reach us, you're a pile of crap. You don't deserve to serve your people. People who are servants must be reachable. I'm watching a bunch of young people in the BVI, and I'm sure maybe, yes, government officials. Because it seems to me that a lot of young people are getting into politics in the BVI, and so be it. Very good. My problem is when pride slap you across the face and you become unreachable, you are worth nothing but a pile of crap. Period. Because your job is to serve. And if the people who need your service can't find you, you are useless. And that is not applicable to the BVI only. It's all leaders across the world, whoever the hell you are. People must be able to find you if they need you. And if they can't find you, you're worthless. Period. Make time for official business. Make time for people. I repeat, make time for official business and make time for people. They are the ones who put you in the office. Respect them. If you can't, you're useless. You're lame. Pile of crap. Many of us have forgotten who we are. And the people who put us in office to serve them, we turn our backs on them and kick them in the ass. And then you call yourself honorable what? My beloved brother, let me stop talking and get you in here because I hope I'm not going on too bad. My beloved brother, how are you?
I'm doing quite well, Kenny. Thanks for having me on the program, man. How are you doing? Well, I can see and hear that you're firing on all cylinders.
My brother, I don't listen. My grandmother raised me to think a certain way. My mother left me when I was about 5 years old and went off on her journey to have a good life. And when she went off, she became a principal and she did well, of course, in her profession. But the point is, my grandmother did not raise me to be a chicken. She raised me to be a lion. And when I speak, she tell me, you make sure that your word, she say, your word make you a man. I don't just talk. I live what I speak. And all my friends, whoever I call friends, are exactly like me. I don't associate with anybody who's any less than that. And I'm sure you have surrounded yourself as well with people like Mr. Kenson Kings and the Kings family and all such people in St. Vincent who are 100% credible people. And I respect you for it. 100%. How is it going in your neck of the woods? What is the weather down there like? You have rain in St. Vincent? What's going on? Talk with me.
Well, we've been having rain. Well, before I answer you, Kenny, let me just say a pleasant good evening to all the viewers, listeners, near and far. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. We've had some rain off and on for the past few days, over the past week or so. But it's been very, very hot and humid down here. Not a lot of breeze blowing around, and but we're still thankful because it could have been worse. You know, we could have been experiencing a drought, or tropical storms and stuff like that.
There you go. Tell me something. St. Vincent normally have quite I could call St. Vincent the food basket. What is happening there now? We still have a lot of yams and potatoes and all the food down there. What's going on?
Yeah, man. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as you know, I've lived and worked in many different places, and I've traveled quite a bit. And
yes.
For me, in our region, I think the only country that surpasses St. Vincent and the Grenadines in terms of agricultural produce and land fertility, and if you want to say produce per square mile or per square hectare or whatever, is Suriname.
Yes.
St. Vincent has, we produce anything. They say if you drop a stone in the soil in St. Vincent, it would grow. That's how fertile our soil is. So, yeah.
Yes. Let me say a very special good evening to my girlfriend, Miss Adriana King. Lord have mercy, I'm going to put myself in a trouble now. Adriana, how you doing, darling? I tell you, Adriana is a sweet woman. My brother, I tell you, you have some beautiful people in St. Vincent, you know.
We do. We do.
And it is so wonderful. Listen, I'm proud of my Vincentian people. Regardless of the odds, they keep their heads up and they keep fighting. They keep pushing. And it's absolutely credible to have all my friends here this evening. Very, very, very commendable of you.
And
Brother Fitz,
we appreciate those kind words, man.
yes, indeed. Brother Fitz, I must say this to you. We have been watching what is happening in St. Vincent. And Ralph is not making it look good at all. I'm not sure if he understands what he has been doing. I'm not sure if it is clear in his mind that people, not just across St. Vincent, but Vincentians across the world, because it is not limited to what is happening in St. Vincent. And all parties associated with these people across the world have been having a very serious problem in relation to what is happening there. Now, Ralph declared that he'll be running in the next election, which is a direct statement that he has no intention to demit office anytime soon. Is it that he's doing an amazing job there, or it's just that he doesn't want to remain in office? What is happening? Ralph is about 76 years old. And this is what he's saying. What are you seeing? Talk with us.
Well, it's unfortunate that Prime Minister Gonzalez is adopting the attitude that he's adopted. Well, this is how he's been all his life, all his political life, where he considers himself to be such an outstanding ruler, politician, such an outstanding leader. But the reality is that he's been in office, him and his party, the Unity Labour Party, they've been in government since 2001, March of 2001, when, by the way, they came into office by means which some people would question not the legitimacy, because there was a free and fair elections, but the activities and the events leading up to those elections. Some people categorize them as civil unrest, as a social consciousness, and some people also consider it as an infringement on people's democratic rights, to the point where the sitting government of the day was pretty much forced into an early election, calling an early election. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that Prime Minister Gonzalez and the Unity Labour Party, they've been in office, in government, since 2001. And I dare say that in the entire region, as a matter of fact, in the entire Western Hemisphere, and with the exception of maybe one or two leaders, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the only country that has not seen a change in government or prime minister since the turn of the century.
Wow.
Since the turn of the century. I mean, you've had countries which have been ruled by dictators, and even those countries, the dictators have either been removed or they've been forced out of office or what have you.
Wow.
And I think that says a lot. That says a lot. And it does not.
What has he been doing differently to remain? Listen, we know electoral fraud is kind of normal nowadays. And I'm not saying that he has been fraudulent in his actions. But you made a very significant point. Even dictatorship governments have been removed out of office, yet he remains. What has kept him there?
Well, yeah. There's widespread speculation as to the reasons, but let me give you a snippet of the realities that we have encountered and we have experienced here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines under Prime Minister Gonzalez's prime ministership.
Yes.
When he came, since he has been in office as prime minister, St. Vincent and the Grenadines gross domestic product, the GDP, our growth rate, has been the worst in the OECS.
Wow.
We've had the highest level of unemployment in the OECS and one of the highest in the entire Caribbean. Youth unemployment is estimated at 41% and growing, the highest in the Caribbean as well, even higher than Haiti. Our level of our national debt, for example, is one of the highest. Our debt to GDP ratio, meaning every dollar that your country makes, we have to pay up to 98 cents out of that dollar in debt. And that's one of the highest in the sub-region as well.
98 cents out of every dollar.
Our debt to GDP ratio is 98% right now. You know? And we can go on and on. St. Vincent and the Grenadines private sector has pretty much been limping along since this administration came into office.
Wow.
So much so that businesses are finding it so difficult to even exist, that the ones which are able to sustain themselves over some time, they have not been able. We have a high level of delinquency when it comes to corporate taxes, businesses paying their taxes. And one of the main reason for that is because we have such a high tax rate. Our business, our corporate tax rate right now is like 30%.
Wow.
About 2 years ago, the very Prime Minister Gonzalez, who was finance minister at the time, informed the nation that businesses owed the government up to $300 million in taxes. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, and I myself, as an economist, would tell you. I mean, when you talk about elasticity and all these kinds of things, I'm not going to get into that, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you, if businesses are not paying their taxes because the tax rate is too high,
Right.
then you might want to consider lowering the tax rate. So rather than get, if you lower the tax rate to 25%, the business tax rate to, let's say, 25%, and having 80% of businesses paying the taxes, he prefers to leave the tax rate at 30% and have only 10% of businesses paying their taxes.
Wow.
And he has been able to skillfully basically destroy civil society. I remember, and I think on a previous conversation I mentioned this to you, when he came into office, he established something called NESDEC, which was a National Economic and Social Development Council. And the objective of that, based on what he said at the time, was to basically involve civil society in the policy development of the socio-economic policy development of our country. So in other words, trade unions, private sector entities, you name it, civil society organizations, community organizations would have had a seat on that NESDEC to influence the economic and social policy of this government. But what this gentleman did, well, what our Prime Minister did in the process, was basically emasculate all of these organizations. And so he took the most influential individuals from some of our strongest civil society organizations, brought them into NESDEC, and basically just took them away and eroded their influence in their organizations to the extent where now we almost don't have a vibrant civil society environment here.
We are going to get back to that NASDAQ thing, because I think that's a very interesting point that we need to expand a bit. But let's get to the point of the people now, because I find this very interesting, that our people, with all the information that you have been sharing, with all the information that Adriana King has been sharing, with all the information that Kenson King and Luzette King and all these people have been sharing, our people, the Vincentians, seem to be a little slow to catch up with the facts of what is happening there. What is accounting for this? Can you say?
Well, that is quite mind-boggling. And it's no coincidence, in my view, that our unemployment rate and our poverty levels are so... Listen, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the percentage of our population which lives at or below the poverty line is the last estimate was in the mid to high 30%. What that means is that almost 4 out of every 10 Vincentian is living on $10 a day or less.
Oh my gosh. Seriously?
10 EC dollars. And I would venture to say that it's less than that. So what you have with those realities, what our Prime Minister has been able to do he has been able to create a level of dependency on our people, where people are now, a lot of our people find themselves in positions where they figure without him, they would not survive. And he does not miss any opportunity to let people know and believe that. You know, even when he speaks to the young people about about them accessing scholarships to go overseas to study, he speaks in the first person. I have to go and find money to send you away to study.
Wow.
And these kinds of things. So to answer your question, he has created a level of dependency and a level of destitution in our country, so that he pretty much can control as in whatever way and fashion he wants to. You know,
Wow.
you know, if you keep a man hungry, it's you basically gonna control them.
But then you see, and this is you go right back to the point that I mentioned earlier. If it is that the people of St. Vincent are self-sustaining in the sense that they plant their own fields, they do their little businesses, they establish their own independence, so to speak. Why is it, or how is it that Ralph could have such control over a people who seek to be self-sustaining?
Well, my brother, the issue of self-sustenance is an issue in itself. I mean, you look at, as I mentioned before, the issue of businesses and how they can create economic life and opportunities for themselves.
Right.
That is extremely difficult, and it has been that way under this administration. You know, and you also have a situation where people try as best as they could to sustain themselves, but there's so much more. There's so much more that's going on. The prime minister has been able to, as I said, infiltrate and penetrate the minds of our people, and some of his admirers, they label him as being charismatic and being such an astute leader. But that's not what, and that is part of his MO. That is part of his demeanor. He projects himself onto people in such a way that you don't even realize he's pretty much psychologically hypnotizing you.
So the man is
he's what's going on.
So
by the time you realize what's going on, you know.
Yes. So he's a pro at that.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So now you understand why, regardless of how you all want to throw him out of office, he have the people psychologically hooked.
But Kenny, in addition to that, very quickly, he has created, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is now experiencing a level of political divisiveness. And of course, there's party politics, there's partisan politics in our Western Hemisphere civilization. That is what we are used to. That is what we are known for,
right?
And known by. But in his case, he has been able to create a level of, if you want to call it, divisive hatred, political hatred, to the point where it's the country is split down the middle insofar as red and yellow is concerned. His party's color is red.
Is it that the people? But sir, is it that the people on his side, if I'm to get partisan, cannot see for themselves exactly what the reality of their own situation is?
Yes, they have. But in many cases, a lot of these supporters and well, let me not use that term, but a lot of his supporters, they as we say in local terms, they benefit from the gravy train.
Hold on now. What is on the gravy train? What does that gravy train carry? Talk to us.
Well, this is what I was going to say. The gravy train offers and affords something what many of these people consider to be something better than what they're used to. But the reality is that what he does, he creates a situation of dependency, as I said before, a situation of great need. And therefore, when he gives you something, it appears to you that he's doing such a great job. So a lot of these hangers-on and a lot of these supporters, they might get appointed to a board, some sort of statutory board. They might get some sort of position or job for which they don't qualify. You know, their kids might get scholarships ahead of other kids who might be just as qualified to get scholarships. So these things, you know, he personalizes the things that he does for people. Not, and a lot of these people not understanding that he's not doing them any personal favors. He's not taking money out of his pocket and giving them these niceties, so to speak. You know, so you have that situation where our people, in my view, we have many of us, or many of them, I should say, let me not say us, many of them have been compromised. And Ralph has skillfully, Prime Minister Gonzalez, sorry, has skillfully done that by basically creating that level of dependency. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, I am, because that is the crux of the matter. That is the crux of the matter. You know what Bob Marley said in one of his songs?
Wow.
Bob Marley said, never let a politician grant you no favor, because they will always control you forever. And that is exactly what is happening here right now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, I will add to that.
Have allowed Ralph Gonzalez to grant them favors, so to speak.
I will add to that, sir. And I hope all my friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are listening to this program. And please share this with everyone you know, my beloved brothers and sisters that side of the world, because they need to hear this. I'm going to add to that by saying, if a man controls your food, he controls you.
Yeah.
The man who feeds you controls you. And when a man controls you, you are his slave.
Yeah. Yeah.
My heart goes out for the young people of that country, and I'll tell you why. You talk about young girls going to school, and you hear all kind of things happening about all kind of rape cases and all kind of crap, and it comes to my desk very often, and it's very unfortunate.
Well, it's not crap, eh? It's more than that.
Oh,
believe me, it's way more serious than that. And the sad, sorry to interrupt you, Kenny, but
no, go ahead.
The sad reality is that a lot of people they dismiss this as just, you know, political. This is all bad politics. You know, people are just trying to make the prime minister look bad and so on. But the reality is that, for example, in his case, he was accused of rape by one of his female security details, and he was never even required to answer any charges. You know, the entire thing was nolly-prossed by the director.
How you mean not required to answer? Listen to me.
Well, I'm telling you, the director of public prosecution nolly-prossed the case, and, you know, it seems that many people are afraid to touch that issue, among other issues, you know, for whatever reason. But the fact remains that when you're head of government, the leader, the father of your nation, is allowed to behave in such what I consider to be situations or circumstances which appear to be circumventing the justice system, then what do you expect ordinary people to do?
Wow.
We live by example. And so, for example, last week, when we had a young lady brutally murdered on the tarmac of our old airport, where a lot of people go and exercise early morning and stuff, and the body was discovered with a piece of PVC pipe inserted up into a private part.
You're not serious.
And the Prime Minister, who's Minister of National Security, didn't even have the audacity to come on the radio and say anything, to come on social media and say anything. But instead, he was on the radio talking about, and granted, this was before the incident with the murder of the young lady took place. But nonetheless, the same way he went on the radio a few days before and talked about a thief who went into the Argyle International Airport and stole 3 solar panels, and the Prime Minister, our Minister of National Security, informed this nation that there's a police manhunt for the thief of 3 solar panels from our international airport, yet not a single word on the brutal murder of this young lady and others before her. Now you can begin to understand the level of should I say, preposterousness of our Prime Minister. You know, he behaves like he's untouchable in so many ways, and that is the harsh reality.
And this is the part that's now blowing my mind. In the face of all this, he continues to lead for decades,
and quite bombastically comes and tells people, I ain't going nowhere. In 2025, I plan to continue to lead this party into the next general election. By 2025, he's going to be close to 80 years old. Now, mind you, you know, the reality of age, it varies from individual to individual, and somebody can be 80 years old and be still nimble mentally, physically, and what have you. But the reality is, when you are required to carry the heavy burden of leading a country, and more so, you've done it for 21 plus years, then you have a problem. Doesn't matter how nimble you are at 80 years old, the law of diminishing returns is going to take place, and you just would not be able to be effective. Now, he brags about having so many bright young people in his party, including his son, who's now the Minister of Finance, including one Saboto Caesar, who's the Minister of Agriculture. Those are the two names who've been that's been touted as his successors. And at the last convention about 3 weeks ago, their party convention, he went in there and said he is running again. No one else, no other candidate in his party put themselves forward to contest for the leadership. Therefore, he took that as an indication that the people want him to continue to be leader.
I find this, gosh, you know,
and it pervades, Kenny, that micro issue of leadership in his party becomes a macro issue of leadership in our country because he's the prime minister. You know, and it's look, when a prime minister refuses to attend the summit of the Americas because his friends Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua were not invited, I have a problem with that as a Vincent. Now, it is true that as a nation, as a sovereign nation, you are entitled to having friends with whoever friends you want to have, and to have diplomatic and whatever other relations with them. But Nicaragua, the last time I checked, President Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua was jailed for some time for all kinds of crimes against his people when he was president in the past. He got out of jail, became president again, jailed 7 of his political opponents not too long ago. And these are the kinds of people that our prime minister wants to buddy up with. So much so that you embarrass the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines by refusing to attend the Summit of the Americas because your good friend Daniel Ortega was not invited. You know?
Wow.
And these are the kinds of things that our people here have to endure. And not to mention, almost on a daily basis, he just goes off on a rant. He insults anybody who opposes his views on anything. I mean, and when I tell you about insult, dehumanize people, our Vincentian people, the people who put him there to serve them, you know, to the point where so many persons have become fearful of speaking out against this administration and against this prime minister because he publicly shames them all the time, you know.
I'm having a problem because when you see this coming in from our people, and it seems to be a known fact that what is happening, and I'm finding this very interesting, that what is happening there is coming across here on this platform in affirmative proportion. People, I'm watching the chat, and my goodness, I find it very interesting that so many people are actually saying the same thing. Now I'm saying it seems that something is out there that Ralph himself perhaps doesn't even realize has gotten out so badly.
Listen, Kenny, listen. This program is called The Raw Truth, right? And the raw truth is that I think our prime minister's natural narcissistic tendencies are now becoming more pronounced as he gets older, as he gets more mentally and psychologically tired, as he becomes less creative, you know, and so on. It's just, for me, it's embarrassing as a Vincentian, and I think it's unfortunate that amidst all the bright people that he has around him, none of them is able to convince him that, look, you have basically outlived your shelf life as prime minister. It's time to go home.
With that said, I'm gonna take a break here, and when we come back, and I'm gonna ask you to share with all your friends, please, because this I have some very interesting questions that I would like to throw at Brother Fitz this evening, and while we're setting the tone in relation to what is happening there, I also need to take him into the fact that we have a prospective prime minister sitting in the wings. I would love to know what the hell is happening as far as that is concerned. How is the prospective prime minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines on top of his game in relation to what is happening there? How is he handling it? How visible is he? People take the word aggressive to mean that you're coming out cussing. No. Aggressive means you get things done when you need to get it done. How aggressive is he in this case? These are some of the questions that I need to ask. We come back in a minute. We come back in a minute.
A new season has begun, and while transformation is inevitable for many, your life will remain the same if this is the way you want it to be. However, you can change your life with a better plan from Lifeline Financial Programs. Begin fortnightly cash installments with any amount, then watch your finances multiply into thousands of dollars as you create a brand new future. Life is not a dream. You only get what you put in. We know you cannot do it alone, and this is why Lifeline Financial Programs created the best financial plans to help you transform your life. Guaranteed. Call us now at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebvilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Let me welcome all our friends who joined us for the Raw Truth. And of course, thank you so much for making this Monday evening making the Raw Truth your favorite Monday evening stop. And of course, we thank you so much for joining us. All our friends in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or for all those who are connected to, are associated with our Vincentian people, we welcome you to the program. And of course, please share this with all your friends. If you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell, that whenever we send out our notification, you'll be first to be updated. We have with us the Honorable Fitzgerald Bramble, and of course, he is an amazing gentleman. He is one who serves his community well at all levels, and of course, he made the time this evening. Very, very, very humble man to be here with us to explain to us exactly what is happening in St. Vincent in no uncertain terms. We welcome him here, and of course, to all our friends, as you come on, please share this with your friends as well, that they will also be able to participate in this program. There is you mentioned earlier, my brother, the matter of NASDAQ. Trade unions, community movements technically died as a result of this NASDAQ thing. Explain to us what is NASDAQ and how this NASDAQ, as it is called, crippled all social groups technically, and trade union groups. Talk with us about that.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, NASDAQ is the acronym means National Economic and Social Development Council. And when the Unity Labour Party under Prime Minister Gonzalez first came into office in 2001, that was one of the first things that he established, because he wanted to give the impression that his government was going to be a government of inclusiveness, and that he was going to make sure that all sectors of society and all factions of society were directly involved in the developmental process. So he created this NESDEC. And as I mentioned earlier, many of the players, many of the main players, well, representatives from trade unions, from civil society, from the churches, you know, from the private sector, were all members of this NESDEC. You know, and so in his mind, he was basically getting everybody on his good side, because hey, now all of a sudden, all of these different entities and their representatives, they all get to sit around the big conference table, the decision-making conference table. But that was not the case. That was not the case. That was basically, in my view, that was basically a carrot that was handed out to the persons whom he thought. And by the way, let me just back up a little bit there, Kenny. Prior to the 2001 elections, which brought Prime Minister Gonzalez into office, I'm sure you must have heard about all of the civil and social, not unrest, but should I say disobedience. There were marches, there were roadblocks, because
Yes.
at that time, the populace, the general population, were just tired and fed up of some of the things that the NDP were doing. Now, mind you, the performance of the NDP, even up until that point, still far surpasses what we have gotten from Ralph and his party in the 20 years that he's been here. But Prime Minister Gonzalez was able to very skillfully and cunningly mobilize civil society. You know, he utilized several agents, so to speak, to be the face of the roadblock revolution, as we call it. So you had, they even formed something called ODD, the Organization in Defense of Democracy, which highlighted several influential trade unionists, social activists, and so on. And they were able to really mobilize the population to the point where they pretty much brought the New Democratic Party's administration to its knees. And, you know, Ralph and the ULP, along with representatives of this ODD, were able to negotiate early elections. The New Democratic Party had just won elections in 1998. So they were barely 2 years into that term, into that 5-year term. And because of what happened through this roadblock revolution, skillfully orchestrated by Ralph Gonzalez at the time, they were able to call early elections. And in the climate at the time, the population voted out the New Democratic Party. In fact, it was quite an overwhelming victory for them. I think it was like 12-3. The two Grenadine seat and the constituency which I represent, East Kingston, those were the only 3 seats which held their own at that time. Incidentally, the New well, let me not get into that. But to come back to your question about NESDEC and so that is the impact that and what he did, knowing fully well the influence and the impact that this ODD and other civil society entities had in bringing down the New Democratic Party's government. On hindsight, I am speculating, well, it's more than speculation. I am of the view that NESDEC was created to neutralize those entities so that you don't have a reoccurrence of what happened leading up to the getting out of office of the New Democratic Party. You know? Because look, for example, right now, what is happening, the performance of this Unity Labour Party right now warrants much more than what took place in 2000 leading up to the demise of the New Democratic Party's administration at the time. What the people were crying out about at that time is nothing, or was nothing, compared to what the ULP party is doing now. And you can't even you could hardly get 100 persons to come out in a public demonstration now, because of how Ralph Gonzalez has skillfully dissected this society. He has skillfully neutralized all of the potential social activists who can motivate and rally people to come out. But there's hope. There's hope. And you know why I say there's hope? Because you mentioned something earlier about information. And whereas this roadblock revolution, which took place 22 years ago may not occur in the same way as it did then. Believe you me, there's a social media revolution that can be just as or even more powerful. There's an information revolution that is going to hit him so hard that he would not even realize what hit him, because he's not prepared to deal with these kinds of methods, strategies, and so on.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because it is strange that time does fly when we're having fun here. It's crazy. But I learned about Jomo. Was he the Speaker of the House at some point?
Jomo, yes.
And by virtue of the fact that he had the authority at the time to neutralize the power base of the current regime, he didn't. Tell me a little more about that. What is that the turning point for what we are seeing in the Gonzalez administration, or what? Talk with us a little more on that.
Well, just to elucidate a little bit on Jomo and what you alluded to a minute ago about him having at that time the opportunity to sort of bring back some semblance of real democracy. I think it was back in, I can't remember when it was, maybe it was 2016 or thereabout, 2017 maybe. But the New Democrat, the opposition party, the New Democratic Party, filed a motion of no confidence against the Ralph Gonzalez administration, and in my view, they capitalized. Well, capitalized is not the word, but they manipulated the standing orders and the Constitution and all these things, to the point where Jomo, who was the Speaker at the time, actually allowed Ralph Gonzalez and his government MPs to flip the script, and instead of Parliament debating a motion of no confidence against the government, Ralph was able to move a motion of confidence in his government, and Jomo allowed a debate on that, to the point where obviously the opposition parliamentarians walked out of Parliament. And then a couple of days after, Jomo came back and talked about, when he was jogging or something like that, he had a moment, I forgot the word he used, he had an epiphany or whatever it was, and he realized that he made a mistake, And even though the motion of no confidence may not have carried, because you need a simple majority at that time, well, you never know, it might have carried as well, because they only had a 1-seat majority at the time. And in as much as in my view, many of the Prime Minister's ministers, they really don't have much testicular fortitude. It was very possible that at least one of them could have voted in favor of the motion of no confidence. But be that as it may, even if the motion did not carry or had not carried at the time, at the very least, you would have been indicating to the population that, look, as powerful as Ralph Gonzalez tries to make himself to be, he is still accountable and is still liable to the laws and rules and regulations of this country. But from the moment you allowed him to manipulate the standing orders of the House, there was no holds barred after that. And since then, I mean, there's so many incidents and instances of him just basically, I mean, he's like a bull in a china shop.
Tell me something.
Governing and controlling people.
Let me get you past that now, because when the day is done, thanks for that explanation, because it needed to be said, so we can at least shape this picture in our minds as to exactly what we're dealing with. But look at this now. Here we are with this man, with a political party within an amazing place called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with alarming levels of resources in that country. Let me ask you this now. Can you paint a picture of the current medical, educational, social and economic status of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Talk with us about that for 1 minute.
The level of destitution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is unprecedented.
Oh my gosh.
You have, listen, let me tell you
something.
something.
My gosh.
You asked me to paint a picture, so let me paint. Not too long ago, a lady, she appeared to be maybe in her 30s, I would say, professionally dressed. And she came up to me and she introduced herself and she told me what she was doing. She told me what she was doing and so on. And the lady broke down in tears, Kenny. You know why? She was explaining to me that she was in such dire straits insofar as her economic circumstances are. She had to take advances on her salary in order to pay her mortgage. So her monthly salary is not able to take care of her basic needs and her family. That is how bad we are. So, and this is a professional woman who, based on the conversation we had, I'm quite sure she's probably making about $3,000 or $4,000 EC dollars a month, which is reasonable given the circumstances. It's not adequate for many people, especially if you have a big family and you're a single income person and so on. But it's reasonable given the circumstances.
But then again, if I should jump in here, my beloved brother, if I should jump in, and I hope you don't mind me doing that.
No.
If it is that night, how many cents out of every dollar is go towards paying the debt you have there?
98 cents. Our debt to GDP ratio is 98 cents. So listen.
That is no money at all, brother.
But this is a combination of two things, right? One, we are in so much debt, and a lot of the debt that we've incurred is really a lot of the debt makes non-economic sense. And secondly, because our economy is so stagnant and we are not producing our productive sector. Do you know agriculture contributes 6% to our GDP? In other words, every dollar that this country generates, agriculture only contributes 6 cents. Tourism contributes 13 cents. Manufacturing and construction together constitute about 10%. And those are our productive sectors. So when you have those two scenarios, just try to imagine, I'm painting the picture, the socio-economic picture. Now, and we can talk about all of the other social challenges which result because of this. Just this morning, one of my colleague MPs was highlighting the fact that so many of our women are now getting into prostitution and so on just to survive. I'm not going to belabor that, but I'm painting a picture, okay? You're talking about young people. I know, for example, now this government has what they call a road gang cleanup program. I think twice a year, they would give people an 8 days of work to clean up, to trim up the areas and clean up because of so much rain and things like that. And I think they make $50 a day. So they make like $400. Well, this is the first time they'll be making. Prior to this last time, they were making like $40 a day. But anyway, it's like $400, 6,000 persons. And he goes on the radio and his ministers, and they're bragging about this road gang program, which is going to help to put money in people's pockets so people can buy school supplies. School is about to open and so on and so forth. But after the 8 days, these 6,000 people are back home, sitting, twiddling their thumbs, getting frustrated with one another, being victims of domestic abuse because they're so frustrated. Man can't find money to feed the family. The woman can't find money to send their kids to school, and included in these 6,000, Kenny, I kid you not, this last time, I think this road gang, this last episode ended last week. In my constituency, I know of one of those persons on the road gang cleanup program who is a university graduate. A university graduate has to depend on 8 days of work going on the side of the street with a cutlass to help clean up the. Now, mind you, I am not denigrating or demeaning.
No. It needs to be said because gosh, come on, man.
But I am saying, if I am going to invest so much of my time, energy, talent, and education into obtaining a university degree, I don't expect to come back here and have to depend on 8 days of road gang cleanup.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Oh my gosh.
I am telling you, up to this afternoon, young strong man came to me, took me out of a meeting. We had a meeting with the IMF. Took me out of my meeting to ask me for something to feed his kids. And the guy was almost in tears. And you know, I think God has given me a reasonable spirit of discernment. And I know that the guy was not trying to pull anything over me. I know he was genuinely in need.
What about the health? Tell me about health in St. Vincent. What is healthcare like down there?
Well, health in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. You can't, look, I was in church a couple Sundays ago, and one of the women in the church came up to me. She said, Bramble, I got bitten by a dog, and I went down to the hospital, and they did not even have a tetanus injection for me to get. Look, listen, hold on. I'm painting a picture because I don't think time would allow me to get into the real.
Oh my gosh.
But listen, our Prime Minister on August the 5th, 2021, claimed to have gotten what we call a bus head. He came out in the crowd. There was a demonstration in front of the parliament. He decided to come out in the crowd, and next thing you know, we saw images of blood coming from his head. And there's what I'm going to call it widespread speculation that somebody hit him in his head with a rock. Up to now, up to this day, no one has been charged. Well, they tried to charge one lady, but that she was eventually released because no evidence was there. And when the incident took place, I'm leading up to answering your question about health. Eh? When the incident took place, man, the government MPs came into parliament, and who didn't talk about attempted assassination on the Prime Minister's life and all kinds of stuff. Now, mind you, up to now, as I said, no one's been arrested, nothing. The next day, the Prime Minister, actually the same night, or the next day, I believe, the Prime Minister was flown to Barbados. For medical attention. We don't know how many stitches the wound took. We don't know what kind of injury was meted out to the Prime Minister. I think he did an MRI. We weren't given the full results. I think he said at the time the results of the MRI said that there was some strain on the eye, the muscles for the eye, and he had to rest for some days, yada, yada, yada. You know? but the bottom line is,
Lord help us.
that our healthcare system, our main medical facility, the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, you won't want your worst enemy to go there. And I'm not saying that to make our country look bad, like some people like to say when you speak the truth. We have excellent professionals. We have some of the best nurses and doctors in the region. And indeed, they must be the best nurses and doctors to be able to operate and function under these drastic and very unhealthy circumstances and working conditions. St. Vincent and the Grenadines doesn't even have an MRI machine in 2022. You know, and I can go on and on. Look, not too long ago, a recruiter came here to recruit people to work on one of the cruise lines. And you should have seen the line of people lined up. And I was told, I wasn't there, but I was told that in that line, we had some of our seasoned professionals, teachers, policemen, nurses were standing in that line to try to get a job to go sailing on a cruise ship. That is the state of affairs in this country.
Let me take a short break right here, because I'm sitting here, my beloved brothers and sisters, and I'm flabbergasted to even imagine that the St. Vincent I think I know, with all the resources in that country, with the capacity for decency, is nothing less than a rat hole. With all the university graduates and amazing people in that place. People are living like a bunch of, living in squalor. Is that what you're hearing? Is that what I'm hearing? No, man. Yeah, it is not supposed to happen. And if it happens, we have to take responsibility for it as a people. I'll say that much. I'll come back in a minute. Welcome back to The Raw Truth, and of course, to all our friends across the world, wherever you joined us from. Let me welcome you to this, your Monday evening special. And remember, every Monday evening, right here on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and for those of you who are on my WhatsApp list, The Raw Truth will be coming at you every Monday evening at 8. And of course, we have different guests from time to time that I bring on here to keep me company, or depending on what is there to be presented, Kenny's always going to be bringing you the raw truth right here on PSI TV. We have with us this evening Brother Bramble, and I think you have spun out of what you know on your side. I think maybe you need to turn it the other way. We have Brother Bramble here with us, and he is he's really digging into some very amazing stuff here. And I am not happy with the fact that with all the things that are happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I am hearing this story coming out of that country. St. Vincent is next door to all of us. With the capacity for greatness that our people within the Central Americas possess, St. Vincent is now looking like a rat hole? No, man. No. This is highly unacceptable. And again, I say, when the day is over, the people of St. Vincent needs to take St. Vincent in their own hands and manage it the way they want to manage it. It cannot be left to a Ralph or a whoever else who becomes the prime minister in any one place to manage the affairs of that country. And whatever they give to the people, you accept it and take it, and everybody's going crazy. It's crazy. You're not hearing me. Something happened there. I'm not sure why you're not here. I'm not hearing you at all. I'm not sure what is happening. You're not hearing me. I am not hearing you. I am not hearing you. Turn your system off and turn it back on. That will help. Obviously something is happening with Mr. Bramble. Turn your system off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Look in the private chat. I'm gonna let me send him a note, because this is serious. Let me turn. All right. Yes. Yes. I just ask him to turn his system off and then back on, because it does happen. Sometimes you get infiltrated. Let me tell you something. This is the world we live in. It's the world of AI, and all kinds of crap is happening. It is indeed what it is, and we have to be very cognizant of the fact that we are where we are. But I'm not going to sit here and accept this crap from anyone, because when the day is done, the people ought to live decently. If Ralph does not think that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines deserve to have a decent life, then you are responsible to prove him wrong. And if he's using fraudulent means to suppress the people in that country, then you deserve better, and you have the resolve to your own situation. It is in your hands to do what is right for you, just and right for yourself. And it is quite interesting that I'm saying it this way, but that's what it is. Every man and woman reserves the right to manage your affairs to your own best interest, or in your own best interest. You don't leave that to a pastor or a priest or a prime minister or a police. No. And where these people do not function by law, do not function lawfully, you reserve the right. If a policeman abrogates your right or is operating unlawfully, You reserve the right to put him under house arrest because he's breaking the law. It is your right. It is your absolute right. And whoever else is not operating lawfully, the people reserve the right to do what is just and right for themselves. It is law. And no idiot can contest that. It's law. And if international law was valued, was not worth anything, and if your constitution that they gave you was not valuable thing, then why the hell they write it and give it to you if it was not valued anything? You know, you have to take very strong responsibility for yourselves, my beloved brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and Grenada. Somebody asked me if Ralph walking all beyond the people in St. Vincent. I think that's a crazy question. But again, I say, if your mind is your mind, how can a man mess up your mind? Your mind is yours. You control your own thinking. You control the energy within your own space. That is the capacity of the man and the woman. You control your own energy. That is not dictated by any external sources. You control what happens in your own space. And we really need to get back to that place where we start reconnecting with ourselves in our own space. It is not a joke. So do not allow psychology to mess up your thinking to the place where you cannot think straight because somebody wants you to be fluffed in the head. No, you control your own space. You control what happens in your own mind. And you, by virtue of that awareness, dictate what happens in your own surrounding. Vincentians. This man is a parliamentarian. And it is very sad that he is speaking with us the way he's speaking with us as a parliamentarian, one who is a government official operating in that country, and is telling us these things in a way that I'm now wondering if I'm hearing right. This is serious, man. The last place I heard they had serious problems was Haiti. I don't want to tell you about what Bookman and all them people did. It is something else. Haiti goes on record. You don't want to hear the story of Haiti. And I would hope no other Caribbean island would come to that resolve. I would hope so. But this is not sounding good. No decent set of people. The Americas is one of the greatest places in the world. Central Americas. Or Central America. No, we're not Central America. The Americas. We're Central America. This is where we are. Yes. Central America. One of the greatest places in the world. And we have an amazing resolve among us as a people. We are the Indians of the Americas. They don't want to tell you that history. But we are the Indians of the Americas. One of the greatest people in the world. They're talking about the Garifuna or the Arawaks or the whoever you want to call it. We are the Indians of the Americas. I don't want to go to Jamaica and tell you what happened down there with Nani and the Maroons down there when Britain went down there and was forming the ass. And until now, there should be a treaty in place. And if the treaty expired, the people have been on the land for over 100 years. The Maroons are now having a hell of a time in Jamaica. And I'm not sure why even that would continue in a way that would want to abrogate the rights of those people. The oldest indigenous people in the world are the people of the Central Americas. And we need to remember that. Don't ever take your history for granted. You're a powerful set of people. I'm happy that Mr. Bramble is back. I hope he will be staying with us this time. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now, Kenya. You hearing
Wonderful.
me?
Well, yes, you're coming through. You're coming through well.
Right.
Now, in the interest of time, because while you were out a while ago, I kept talking with my people to help to create an awareness of their status as the Indians of the Central Americas, because that is who we are. And I'm not sure if we even understand our history well enough to be able to relate to this. A powerful people. Our history goes on record uncontested. Now, As we wrap this up, sir, with all that you have outlined, the Honorable Dr. Friday, Godwin Friday, because this now is another very important point that I wanted to raise with you in relation to what is his position in relation to the madness that is surrounding him in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm sure he's a quite popular figure. I'm sure many people are in his corner and they want to see him rise to technically save St. Vincent and the Grenadines. How do you see him? In what light does he fall? Talk to me.
Well, he's my leader. He's a leader that I'm very proud to be supporting. Dr. Friday is a man of class, you know. I often liken his personality to that of President Barack Obama. You know, he's a cool, very likable, very personable man. He's a man who's quite calculated. He doesn't just speak because he has a mouth. And I think he's the kryptonite for Ralph Gonzalez, you know, because a lot of people for the last 20 years, we've grown accustomed to this aggressive, loudmouth, obnoxious, insulting, dehumanizing leader in our prime minister. And Dr. Friday is completely opposite from all of those things, you know? So I think the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are ready for that breath of fresh air as a new leader in Dr. Friday. He's very well supported by all of his colleagues, myself included. So sometimes when people think, you know, he's not aggressive enough and he's not out there enough, this is a team. And oftentimes we, as members of that team, would promote and deliver the message in different ways. I am a different personality from Dr. Friday. I can be cool, but I get very passionate, not in a reckless way, but I get passionate because that's my personality, that's who I am. You know, and,
yes.
and as they say, there's a time and place for everything, and it's different strokes for different folks.
You're making some good points. Good points.
There are different strokes for different folks. And you can disagree with something. You can voice your disagreement and opposition to something without being, you know, outlandish and being aggressive and being, you know, sometimes that is necessary, of course. But it doesn't have to always be like that, as we have experienced for the last 20 years.
There are some questions on the ground, and I'm going to throw it out here because when it is done, some of our people have become, or most of us even, have become so accustomed to the loudmouthedness. We have become so accustomed to the aggression. We have become so accustomed to the defamatory approach.
Yeah.
To the point where if a leader is not cussing out everybody and telling everybody about them behind and kicking everybody in the ass and all kind of stuff, then it people, because of the psychological programming which has been happening in St. Vincent over all these years by Ralph.
Yeah.
Anybody who is on the flip side of that coin,
people consider them to be weak.
Yes, they're going to be perceived as weak.
But not at all.
No, my question is this: is this understood by Dr. Friday? And if this is comprehended, what is his approach to because now you need reprogramming across the masses. There has to be reprogramming. How often is he appearing? How strategic is his approach in relation to these things? I wanted to have a talk with him here so I could get him to voice his opinion as well. Tell us who he is, what he's about. Program the minds of the people to help them understand what he's about. Because the longer he stays on the back end without being heard, the less people are going to see him and even comprehend what is happening in his head. This must be understood. I'm saying, does he understand this?
I believe so. But you know, I think it would be a good idea, Kenny, for you to try to get Dr. Friday on your program. I think he's quite amenable, and I don't think he would have a problem coming on. he would be better positioned to answer that question than I am. You know, and I'm not trying to be funny or trying to be diplomatic here.
Yes. Yes.
That's really how I see it. But you know, and like everything else, there's room for improvement.
Yes, indeed.
No matter where you are, no matter how well you're doing, there's always room for improvement. The good thing about Dr. Friday and our party is that we listen to people.
Yes.
We listen to the people, and you know, sometimes people may not get the response that they want. Sometimes they may think that we are not responding quickly enough or aggressively enough or appropriately. And that is why continuous engagement is so important. You have to be on the ground, engaging, interacting with the people so you can always feel the pulse. Anytime the pulse stops beating, it means you're dead. So if we're not there as representatives and as a future government, if we're not out there feeling the pulse of the people and helping to make that pulse beat, then we have a big problem.
And this is why I respect your position as one who is always on social media, always on the radio stations. You're keeping it alive. You're always sharing your opinion, always giving thoughts, always sharing the facts. Brother Kenson King, always sharing. That's one thing with you people I respect. You're always sharing with the community to help the people to comprehend where you are and what is happening. Sister Luzette, Sister Adrian, all of you people have been always doing the job. But I think the leader himself needs to be more present. I need to grab him and have a serious talk with him here, because I'm sure that many of our people agree. It is simply a matter where I've been getting questions. I have been getting questions. People have been wondering if he is really as aggressive for this kind of thing. As I said, maybe Ralph has done a bad job to, well, perhaps a good job of psychologically brainwashing the people in St. Vincent to the point where they're so accustomed to this.
Kenny, also, sorry to interrupt you, but
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Also, the fact that, I mean, things are deteriorating so rapidly in our country. I mean, it's almost on a daily basis. You have some issue where you can pretty much just take the government to task.
Yes.
You know, the mismanagement and in my opinion, the malfunctioning of our government is happening so fast and so furiously that it's almost it's so difficult to keep up.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct indeed. You're right.
So and I think that is even more reason
why
we as a New Democratic Party, we have to be so focused. We have to work on our messaging. We have to work on our public relations. We have to continuously improve in those areas. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind with the issues. You know.
So now you can see why Ralph. I'm not even sure what his medium for reaching the people, but communication. I listen. I offer PSI Network, PSI TV, as your platform to reach your people. Dr. Friday can call me anytime he's ready. I'll be very happy to set up an interview with him so we can keep the discussion going so the people can learn him better. I think that becomes a critical matter. But while I'm saying that, because I know he has good intentions, I spoke with him before. I know exactly where he's at. But this is my question. You look at a man, and I'm going to throw this at you very, 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 maybe even mischievously.
Throw anything at me, man.
Even mischievously.
Throw anything at me. If I can't answer, I'll tell you I can't.
Kenson King. I've been watching that young man for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I observe him. He probably doesn't even know that I'm watching him. But I have been watching him very closely. And he makes it his business to talk with his people. He makes it his business to inform his people.
Yeah.
He makes it his business to share. Just as how you do it. Adriana does it. Miss King, when she's ready, a couple others would do it. But on a consistent level, he's always there. Now, if I were to ask you this, do you see him as a prospective candidate of the NDP party?
Most definitely. And him and I had we have had enough conversations about that. I'm sure he's listening, but most definitely, I mean, Kenson is relatable. He does his research. He's passionate. He connects with the people. He understands the issues which face us. And I am of the view that he's fully capable of providing solutions as part of an NDP team. So I have absolutely no problems. And he's young as well. So Kenson would get my endorsement 100 million%.
I need to talk with Dr. Friday, because if we don't have a lazy candidate down there who are walking, I'm going to replace them with Kenson. Trust me. Because, I said it at the introduction of this program, and I'm continuing to say this. Nothing less will do right now. Nothing less. Nothing less. And, my beloved brother, you came here this evening. We spoke earlier. Somebody saying we have to make you a honorable Vincent. Yeah, man, I is honorable Vincent a long time, it's just because you never give me the name, but yeah.
you sound like Marley, there, man. You sound like Bob Marley.
Oh my goodness. But I tell you this, I tell you this. With nothing less is going to serve the Vincentian people. I love the fire up. Listen, Kenson, Luzette, all the kings, yourself, my beloved brother, you have served well. And I need to connect more with you people in St. Vincent because I think the time is right for it.
Have you been to St. Vincent, Kenny?
1 or 2 times, yes.
Well, you need to make it 3 or 4 times.
Well, there you go.
So the invitation has been issued.
Have you lifted the mandates in that place?
Yes, they have. Just this week, they have now, if you're unvaccinated, you're no longer required to quarantine when you come enter St. Vincent.
Good.
Finally,
all right.
they've come to that.
So that is also news for our people across the Central Americas and the rest of the world. If you
all you need is a negative PCR test and you're good to go.
No, you need to lift that too. The CDC has banned all of that.
That's true. Yes,
the CDC has banned it. St. Kitts and Nevis banned all of that. St. Thomas, most all places have banned all of those things. Yep. So all of that needs to be lifted with immediate effect because those things are not doing much good based on what is coming out of the CDC. They are now saying that there's no scientific basis for none of that. So
exactly.
Very interesting.
We have Parliament tomorrow, and we have to go and get a rapid antigen test done today, which is nonsensical. We still have to wear a mask in Parliament.
Wow.
Because we are unvaccinated. Well, I am unvaccinated. And the interesting thing is that all of the members of the government side were vaccinated, but they all got COVID, 8 of them during the budget debate.
Wow.
And none of us on our side got COVID. And only 3 of us are vaccinated. But anyway, that's probably a discussion for another time.
Yes, and I tend to be very careful when talking about it as well because these crazy social media people tend to censor you when you start talking about these things, and it gets a little strong.
Well, the reality is that the science has given us different and new information all along, and some of our leaders and some of our professionals in the healthcare system, they don't seem to want to be able to adjust and adapt to the science and to the knowledge and the information as it changes.
If CDC is now saying that there's no basis for it, then what the hell are we holding on to?
Thank you very much.
That is my question.
Thank you very much.
Yes, if CDC and all these people are saying there's no basis for it, then let the hell go. I mean, what are we holding on to? My brother, time does fly. In closing, what do you wish to say to your Vincentian people who are listening to you tonight? Talk with us.
Well, I would like to say to my Vincentian people that we know that St. Vincent is the land of the blessed. It's in our national anthem, St. Vincent land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee. And it goes on to talk and it says, may peace reign from shore to shore. And we're saying that God would bless and keep us. God's been blessing us for a long time, but we have to do our part as conscious citizens. And for those of us who are not as conscious, we need to start lifting our level of social consciousness and to realize that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is not Ralph Gonzalez's plantation. This is not modern day slavery. And Bob Marley said, I'm a big fan of Bob Marley. Bob Marley said, every man has a right to decide his own destiny. Ralph Gonsalves doesn't have the right to decide my destiny, nor any other Vincentian's destiny. And so if we raise to that level of consciousness, I think by the next election in 2025, or I am optimistic that even before that, Ralph Gonsalves and his regime would be a thing of the past.
You know, whenever I'm coming down there, I'll call you and I'll call Kensington King, and I'll let you all know when I'm ready to take a little pass down there, because I think it is something that I think we need to look at very seriously. I think with all the with the capacity for development that is technically floating around in that place, you should never have a moment of poverty in that country. And I think bad management does exist, and that is exactly what is screwing up that place. Time enough. I think the time has come for us to throw it out.
Agreed.
My beloved brother, thank you so much for coming on. I feel very honored having you. And whatever you do, take care of yourself. We will remain in touch. And what I will do as well, I'll try to reach out to Dr. Friday as well, so we can have a talk set up with him here as well. So
I can help you with that.
Please, so we can get a little more of him across the airwaves for our people. To all our Vincentian people across the world who have joined us here this evening, thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. And of course, I'm sure my beloved brother, Bramble, is very happy that you were able to join the broadcast as well. So whatever happens, my brother, keep it safe and strong. We will catch you a little later on.
Thank you very much, Kenny, and I hope I did your program justice.
Oh, no. You did the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines justice, I'm sure. Thank you so much, my brother. All the best to you.
Take care.
Okay, my brother. That was my beloved brother, Dwight Fitzgerald Bramble. And of course, I could call him perhaps my brother, my friend at this point, because he is now... how better could it have been? Could one have done it to outline to us exactly what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the way my beloved brother did outline it? I think he's an amazing representative of that nation, and I commend the kings, all the kings. I commend anyone else who chooses to stand to make a difference in that country, because we all love the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Love you, wonderful people. And whatever you do, take care of your sweet selves wherever you are, whether you're in St. Vincent or you're in Canada or you're in the USA or you elsewhere in the Caribbean region or Africa, wherever you are as Vincentians, I salute you. Be strong. Stand with your people back home. Stand with them. Don't let your girls go to prostitution. Don't let the young men sell themselves because of the lack of resources. Stand with your people. Put a couple of barrels together, send it to Kenson or Mr. Bramble. Do something for them. Don't allow young ladies to prostitute themselves because they got children, they can't take care of them, and they don't want their children to go hungry because they don't have it to feed them. Yes? I think a fund need to be put together as well. Yes? A fund for mothers who have their children going to school who cannot afford it. Somebody need to step up to the plate and do something. Don't sit back and complain about it. If Ralph is not doing it, to hell with him, with respect to him being the prime minister of that country. The point is, the people need to come together to save themselves. It's just simply what it is. Welcome to the raw truth. Stop depending on government to save you. Government has its own problems. The people need to come together to save themselves. Please, think through it. Set up the necessary people, put them in place to manage the affairs. If you have to send money to them to help your people, send it. You have to send some barrels to them, send it. Whatever you need to do, put the appropriate measures in place to manage these things that your people can be taken care of. The very best to all of you. Until we meet a little later, keep it strong, keep it safe, and all the very best till we catch up a little later. Peace. Oh, no.
them birthright and I sell out the people now. Some of them a kill and maim and some a rob all the people. Oh yeah, but Jah not sleep and he man go take them out.